There's two approaches to handling stress. We can do something about it from right here. In other words, prevent it from turning on. But sometimes we forget that we can prevent it from turning on. And so we notice that we still get this kind of whatever physiology that we talked about last time. So we also need something that helps us turn it off. We need tools that work to take us out of the fight or flight response back to homeostasis, balance, back in balance. And for some people, this is the first thing that they need. This is the very first thing, because it doesn't matter if I tell, here's how you prevent it. They're just so in fight or flight that they can't seem to make sense of this part. This is all thinking. This is the cognitive part. This is how you think about things, which we're going to really dive into. But we also need something that will take us out of the stress response. It's all, in almost every case, going from here to here feels really good. It's really like, wow, that's much better here than here. And so that's kind of where we're headed. Now today, we're going to do what I call, the first one that we do, I think it's one of the most powerful ones, is what we call guided relaxation. That term might be a strange term for some of you because you've never heard it before, but basically what it is me walking you through a process that takes you from there to there. Usually it's lying on the ground or sitting in a comfortable position, and I explain to you, it's kind of like if somebody were doing an aerobics class or a workout class with you and they're in the front of the class saying, okay, get your knees up, get your heart rate up and all this stuff. Well, I'm going the opposite way with relaxation exercises. Now, each of these exercises that we're going to do, I will walk you through them. I know how they work. I know how they work best. I've been doing these for 30-ish years. I've seen a lot of them come and go, and the ones we'll be doing are the best ones out there. Now, the thing that I know is they're a little bit weird. They're not what you would normally think to do during an afternoon or a morning or at night to help you fall asleep. Nobody does these as a normal thing. But when we do these, my suggestion to you is whatever it is that I say to do, just do it. Just don't go, I don't think I'm going to try that. That sounds so stupid. You just do it anyway because it works, because your body knows, I know how to make your body get really relaxed. And don't worry, you won't ever do anything that is going to fly in the face of your own beliefs and morals or anything like that. There's nothing, nobody has ever come out of this class going, ooh, that was a little bit, I don't think I'll ever try that again, and you shouldn't do that kind of stuff in this class. Nobody ever says that. But it's also really weird what we're going to do. Now, one of the most important things with these exercises is the ending of them. When it gets to the end, it'll invite you, my instructions to you will invite you to take a long time to end the relaxation exercise. Don't be in a hurry to finish it. And if you do, and this is exactly what will happen if you do, if it finishes and then you say, okay, I'm good, and you stand up and you start moving around, it'll be really a lot like how it feels when you're jolted out of a wonderful dream. You know what I'm talking about, when you're having this great dream and suddenly you hear some dog barking or somebody's screaming down the street or next room or whatever, and you feel so unsettled. That's how it will feel if you end quickly. So when I say take your time coming out of this, and I'll walk you through that, but I just want you to not be in any hurry. There's no reason to hurry when we do these in here, but when you do these on your own, really just take your time. Now, here's the thing that I know, and here's what's really wonderful about relaxation, guided relaxation, is it's kind of like weightlifting, in that every time that you do this, every time that you do something that really does work to bring you from here to here, makes it so that you're stronger at doing this. So pretty soon, this becomes, oh, I can just immediately go from here to here. And you'll train yourself. Because you'll do this once in here and 2 more times on your own every week. And your body after a while will go, man, I really like this feeling of being here, And each time you do it, you'll condition yourself to more easily go there. And once you get back in balance, then the little things and the bigger things and the bigger things kind of cease being such big things. And that's fun, that's exciting, and that's, some people say that's the most valuable part of this class. I think this is the most valuable part, but that's because after you do this for a few years, you're just kind of here all the time. And it's within our reach. We're doing what we call the power nap. It's an exercise I made up a long time ago, and it still is one of my favorites. And what you're going to do is you're going to lie on the floor, but you're going to put your feet up on the chair. So I hope nobody's in dresses, unless you don't care. But you're going to lie on the floor, and you're going to have your feet up on the chair like this. And you'll lie on the floor with your arms at your side, but your thighs will be going straight up and down as much as possible, your calves. So I don't want your legs at an angle. I want your thighs, your calves. So whenever we do these, after we're done, I like to kind of have a little conversation, see how it went. So if this applies to you, raise your hand. How many of you feel worse now than you felt before? Does anyone fall into that category? Where you felt pretty good and now it's like nobody? How many of you feel about the same, no big change? Is anyone in that? A few of you? How many would say, a little bit better, not a whole lot? Okay. How many of you, wow, that's different now than where it was before? Okay. How many of you, when you tested your heart rate, was it higher the second time when you doubled the number than the first time when you doubled the number? So it went from what to what?
78 to 84.
Went up a little. Okay, anyone else?
From like 66 to 67, just like that one.
Just one? Okay.
Or like 72.
So how many was like that, where it's pretty almost exactly the same start to finish, or from the first time to the second time? How many of you, about somewhere between 1 and 5 beats, when you doubled the number? So when it's like if you counted 30, then it was 60, and then the second time you counted and doubled it, and it was, how many of you was it between 1 and 5 beats a minute slower? 6 to 10 beats slower? 11 to 15 beats. How many for you?
Mine was 10.
10? 11 to 15? How many? Any more than 15? Okay. Did anyone notice anything that is different as far as a symptom? Anything where it's not as whatever was going on symptom-wise is not as obvious now.
My neck and shoulders are a little looser.
Okay, good.
I feel more relaxed and calm,
Where?
like overall.
Your whole body
Yeah.
just feels more relaxed and calm. Is anyone else? What'd you
I
notice?
feel like my breathing is a little more steady,
Yeah.
a little more slow.
How many would say that's the case for you? Your breathing's changed. And is there a question or you?
Just a comment.
Go ahead.
Kind of busy with the cold, but my runny nose went away.
Your runny nose went away.
Oh, that's interesting.
Your immune system is cranking. Good job. Did anyone have a headache before and it's not quite as much so now? You two did? How intense was it and what is it now?
So mine, like, it starts on my neck and it kind of goes all the way up into my forehead, and it's not in my forehead anymore.
It's just back there now?
Yeah.
Okay. Josh?
It just doesn't feel as like much pressure anymore on top of my head.
Yeah? Whereas before it did?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying something's going to happen every time for everyone. And what I know for sure is every one of these will impact you differently. Some will affect you more than others, some won't affect you at all, and some will be profound. It's just kind of, that's why if one worked for everybody, we'd only do one. But that's just not the case. And there are 2 or 3 that we'll do later on that are just almost universally helpful. But we're just slowly getting there, a little bit at a time. Now, do any of you have any questions about your experience? Did anyone experience anything that was like, ugh? How many fell asleep during it? So here's what I would say when we do these relaxation exercises is if your body tells you to fall asleep, fall asleep. Enjoy it, what you said. Don't resist. There's only a couple times that we'll do these where I would say kind of resist the urge to fall asleep. But if it feels like you should sleep, that's your body saying, okay, we're going to go into deeper levels of rest right now, and let it. Because you'll have some of the deepest sleep you've had in a long time if you let that happen. So don't resist it. It's quite okay to fall asleep like that. If you do this and you find yourself falling asleep pretty frequently, it's a good indication you just need a little more sleep. And you're now giving yourself the right environment and the right physiology so that you can take advantage of it. So, and most of us need more sleep anyway. I mean, that's just kind of a given that we're all on the underside of how much sleep we need. And we'll talk about sleep a little bit later on.
Explain why we had our feet and our calves on a chair rather than just lying flat.
Yeah, it's a good question. The reason why we do this particular one, later on we'll spend a little bit of time doing yoga. And in yoga there are quite a few positions that you put your body in. They call them inverted poses, where your feet are higher than your heart and your head. And by putting your feet up just a little bit, I mean, in fact, we may do one in here where we'll lie next to the wall and put our legs straight up and down. What?
I do that for my dog.
Yeah. Most people do this from time to time because it feels naturally good. All we're doing is playing with gravity, helping gravity restore blood flow this way instead of as we sit kind of and stand in this position all day. Blood flow tends to pool down here, so it's kind of it's not a lot, but what's that? Exactly, kind of get the blood flow balanced back up. And because when we do yoga, a lot of the times there's stand on your head, shoulder stand, there's downward dog, there's all kinds of poses that are designed so that your head's lower than everything else. And I think it's a gravity thing with blood flow more than anything. I mean, there's probably other reasons, but it's not really so important how you feel during. It's nice to feel good during it. It's nice to feel, you know, that resting feeling. But my interest in doing these relaxation exercises is how are you feeling afterwards? And not just like right now, but in the next hour or 2 or 3. Do you have more energy? Do you feel more alive? Do you feel more alert? Do you feel more clear-headed as opposed to foggy thinking? Do you feel like you could take on stuff instead of being really fatigued? And the more that you do this, where you turn off the stress, the more that'll be your ongoing feeling. It's fine to fall asleep or feel good during it, but I'm much more interested in how you're feeling when you're doing everything else. We don't do them just to do them. We do them so that we can do everything else that we do better. So here's one thing that'll happen a lot is you'll discover, like the one we'll do in a couple weeks, you'll discover that will be the one that you'll want to do before every test you ever take, because your mind will be so clear. There's two of them in here that we'll do that are and I did. When I was back in school, I would always do this or that one before every single test, because I knew I wanted Einstein brain in there, because I don't have much Einstein brain. I got a tiny, tiny amount. So I need as much of it as possible when I'm taking a test or needing to write a paper or something. And so you'll learn to do this right beforehand. You'll go into the test and your mind will be just clear as a bell. And all the things you've been studying will just flood into your mind instead of brain fog. Last thing that I want you to do is, now that we've done this once in here, what we will do every time is I want you to do it 2 more times on your own. How many in here does it take you longer than 5 minutes to fall asleep at night? How many in here are like, head hits the pillow, 10 seconds later you're gone? So everyone hates you guys, right? If it takes you longer than about 5 minutes to fall asleep, does it take anyone longer than 30 minutes on the average? Longer than an hour? Sometimes, okay? And this is not a judgment. Again, I'm not saying you're bad or wrong for that being the case, but it's really frustrating to just be lying there wishing sleep would happen. When sleep should come naturally. And so one of the times that you will do these relaxation exercises is right before you fall asleep. So the assignment will be to do it once in an afternoon, so kind of in between the day's activities and the evening's activities. So like somewhere between 3 and 6, just you'll put on your headphones, click it on your phone, and then 20 minutes later you're done. But you'll want to do this on your own, preferably in your bedroom, somewhere where you won't be disturbed, where nobody else is going to see you, where you have kind of like what you were saying, Jen, of your own perfect environment as opposed to this less than perfect but still good environment. So you're going to do it once in the afternoon, and then I want you to do it once as the last thing you do before you fall asleep. Now, let me be very clear about this. I don't mean the last thing you do and then you're going to read a book, or the last thing you do and then you're going to go brush your teeth, or something else that you might do at your house. It's the very last thing, so much the last thing that you'll do it preferably in bed, although this one invites you to put it, your feet up. But if I were doing it at my house, I would just put 2 or 3 pillows up as opposed to a chair, and just have it in my bed. And anytime during that, I'm just gonna fall asleep. And watch what happens. It has to be the last thing. If you don't do it the last thing, if you do it and then you decide, okay, I'm gonna go down and get a bite to eat or something, you'll have so much energy. You'll want to clean your house twice. My thinking is, and my experience with doing this for 20 years is, if you have any problems at all falling asleep, unless you're on some really heavy medication, which I'd like you to try and wean off of, don't just stop, but we've fixed just about every sleep problem that's come through this class, both online and face-to-face class. Because your body, once it's down here, goes, oh, when you're lying down, I know what to do, because that's what I did when I was 2. I fell asleep when I lied down. Boom. And you'll get your mind off of all the things that are tomorrow and yesterday stuff by focusing on what it is. And we'll discuss that idea later on. But do you get the idea? Does that make sense to everyone? Watch what happens. This might just be the coolest thing. Do you want to hear something really, I guess, I don't know if weird or creepy is the word. You know what I mean? I still have people. In fact, I spoke at this. I was a keynote speaker at this conference last month. This hospital conference asked me to come speak. And there were 4 people after that who came up to me, and they'd been in this class or the online class 10 years ago. And they said to me, "You're still the last thing I hear every night before I fall asleep." I said, "Really? You can't think of anything?" They said, "Those things work, and they still work, and I love them."